So today we are going to discuss about lookup transformation. So this lookup transformation that we'll call it as heart of informatica. Okay, so this is very important transformation, and this is having multiple options that we should be very much careful about. Okay, so if you thoroughly understand this particular transformation, then you can understand any type of transformation in informatica, and you can work uh, any type of complex works. Okay, so this lookup transformation is basically which is going to be used to retrieve the data from a source related source or relational source based on lookup condition. Okay, so lookup transformation is also a kind of a transformation. So we'll be doing on top of a table based on certain condition. So yesterday we have seen about the joiner transformation. Okay, what joiner transformation is doing? So when we wanted to join two heterogeneous sources, we are going to use joiner transformation. So lookup transformation also is kind of similar activity, but we'll be doing lookup on top of a table or lookup on top of a file. Okay, so when we are doing lookup on top of a table, we have to give a condition. As like in joiner, in lookup also we have to give a condition. Okay, but lookup is having additional privileges or additional properties where we can use it effectively. Okay, let's say lookup is having query options. Okay, so if at all we wanted to eliminate unwanted data, or like which is going to take time to cache when we use joiner, we can go with lookup. Lookup is having a query option. By using lookup query, we can eliminate as many as number of rows based on the certain filter conditions which is provided by the business. Okay, so lookup transformation is also kind of a lookup transformation is also used for join purpose only. So but lookup is going to act as a left outer join. So left outer join meaning, so all the data will be coming from source, will be going to the target, but lookup table, so if condition matches, the lookup is going to give the value. If condition does not matches, lookup is not going to give the value. That means lookup is going to give null value. Okay, so these lookup transformations are of two types: connected lookup and unconnected lookup. Okay, so for today, let us discuss about connected lookup. Yeah, this is very important concept. If at all you have anyone having any questions or doubts, please do let me know immediately, or please stop me here and get your questions clarified. Okay, let me open database. So we are going to use the lookup transformation in between source and target. Okay, so in the lookup transformation, just drag and drop here or select from the drop down. So this
Sorry, Bhaskar, we can't see your
Bhaskar,
screen.
yes, we can't see your screen.
is it. 1 second. Oh, sorry, I did not share my screen. Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yes, Bhaskar, it's visible.
So this lookup transformation basically Uh, Now, this lookup transformation also will be having incoming fields, lookup object, lookup condition, and return fields. Okay, now for the same kind of a requirement yesterday, what we have seen, like to get the department name. Okay, so we have an employees table. So in this employees table where we have department ID along with the employee information. Okay, now we have one more table called employees underscore TGT table. Okay, so which is going to have department name. Okay, now what we should do? So from employees table, I have only department ID. I don't have any department name. Now what I should do to get the department name? I have to join with the department table to get the department name. Okay, now in order to do a join, so there are several ways. Okay, the first way is we can do a join in source. If both the tables are of same database, then we can do a join in the source itself, or we can use joiner transformation. Okay, the other way is we can do lookup on department table. Based on department, we can give a condition on department ID, and then we can get department name. Okay, now to the incoming fields, always when we use lookup, right, so always better to rename these fields. Always it is advisable to rename fields, because lookup table also will be having the same names, so that field name conflicts will be coming up. So in order to avoid that, okay, so just rename, just prefix with, so these are coming from source, right? So whatever the fields which are coming from source, just rename with src underscore. Okay, so that there will not be any confusions. Now click on source, select the source table. Oh my God, the legend is not working. I'm selecting source table. So employees is my source table. So where I'm getting all the columns. Then I'm doing lookup on target table. So before that, whenever we use lookup, always it is advisable to rename with the previous transformation fields. Okay, so just select bulk rename option, specify, just prefix src underscore, src underscore, so that for all the columns, so we will get to know that these columns are coming from source table. Okay, and then go to lookup object, select the table. So which scheme, which connection this particular table is available, and select the lookup object. So this I'm doing lookup on department table. Okay, so here we have an option on multiple matches. Okay, so return first row, last row, any row, all rows report error. Okay, what is this multiple matches option? So this option is basically, so for a specified condition, if there are more than one row, if there are more than one row in the lookup table. Okay, let's say for one department which is coming from source is having three or four values for the same department ID. Okay, so then which value should the lookup should give? The lookup should be able to understand. So for this join condition, ideally I should supposed to get one record, but I'm getting more than one row. So then what row I should give? Return first row, last row, any row, or all rows. Okay, so this is about multiple matches. Okay, usually by default, return any row will be there. Sometimes we'll be use report error because ideally we will not be expecting any duplicate data coming from source, sorry, coming from the lookup table. So that if we select any row or last row, so always the records will be keep going for updates because in one execution will become one record will be coming, in the other execution other record will be coming. So that we can observe that in real time the records will be keep going for updates. In that cases, what we do, we will just enable this report error. If at all this kind of an error, this kind of a data issue is there, like multiple matches are there for one join condition, just report error so that I can take care of, so that this lookup transformation will fail the job. So that by seeing that we will get to know that for this condition there are multiple matches. Okay, by default return any row will be there, just leave as is. In the advanced, where we have lookup query override. Okay, so this lookup query override is going to default the SQL statement for the lookup table. Okay, so when we execute this one, okay, so the lookup transformation also is going to build a query by the integration service. The integration service will be preparing the query because we are doing lookup on top of a table. So when we are dealing with any table, so the database should understand only with queries. Without queries, it won't understand. So that's why integration service will prepare query for that. If at all we wanted to write any explicit query, we can use this lookup override, lookup SQL override. So that integration service won't prepare any SQL query. It is going to directly use this query, whatever is being prepared here. And lookup source filter. If at all we don't want to give any query, but we wanted to give a filter condition, then we can give a lookup filter so that it also understand this particular filter I wanted to use when I'm going to build integration, when I'm going to build SQL query by the integration service. Okay, we can give lookup query, sorry, lookup filter here. Lookup caching is enabled. Okay, so lookup caching enabled is meaning this lookup transformation is going to build cache. Okay, this lookup transformation is going to build cache. So by default, this port will be checked in. Okay, this checkbox will be checked by default because lookup transformation, we are explicitly telling lookup transformation that build cache. Okay, so when cache is going to be built, so when the first record is going to hit the lookup transformation, based on the condition, the cache file will be prepared. Once cache file is being prepared, end of the execution, again the cache file will be get deleted from the cache file directory. The cache is a file, so which is going to be generated and which will be used for the data matching purposes. Like when the records are coming from source, so it will look for the condition. So now here condition, let's say I'm joining based on department ID of lookup table with SRC department ID. So based on the department ID, we are doing a join. So when we are doing a join, so what is the matching record for this particular value coming from source? So it will be identifying through cache file. It's not going to identify with the table when we enable this lookup cache. Okay, so these lookup caches are of four types. We will say static cache, dynamic cache, persistent cache, and shared cache. Okay, static cache meaning, so that is a default cache which is going to be built by the lookup transformation. So whenever the first record is going to hit the lookup transformation, the cache file will be built, and then on end of the execution, the cache file will be get deleted. That we will call it as static cache. Okay, I'll also write here. There are four types of caches in lookups. There are four types of caches in lookup. Okay, first one is static cache. Static cache is nothing but, so whenever the first record is going to hit the lookup transformation, the cache will be built, and end of the execution, the cache file will be get deleted. And second one is dynamic cache. So dynamic cache is nothing but the cache will be refreshed for each and every record which is being processed by the source. Okay, so in static cache, when the first record is going to hit, at that point in time, whatever the data is there in the table, with that cache will be built. After that, while doing the execution, if any records are inserted or updated, the cache file won't be refreshed. But in case of dynamic cache, the cache file will be get refreshed for each and every execution. Each and every execution, the cache file will be get refreshed for each and every record process, not execution. Each and every record process, the cache file will be get refreshed. Okay, so now when we enable this dynamic cache or dynamic lookup cache, so we will get a new port created called new lookup port. Show that. So this is, here it is, dynamic lookup cache. So when I enable this dynamic lookup cache, if you see it in the return fields, where is that? Yeah, this dynamic lookup cache, I'll check on it. Okay, because when we enable this dynamic lookup cache, new lookup report will be coming up, and so that is going to give associated ports will be coming up, and with the associated ports, value comparisons will be happening, and it is going to give the value as 0, 1, 2. Okay, but here it is not working, but I'll check on that and I'll let you guys know tomorrow. Okay, so this is one more type of cache, and the third one is persistent cache. So persistent cache is a permanent cache. Permanent cache is nothing but, so in case of static cache, when the first record is going to hit the lookup transformation, the cache will be built. End of the execution, cache will be deleted. But persistent cache, when we enable this lookup cache persistent, end of the execution, the cache file will not be get deleted. Cache file will be still there in the lookup cache directory. Okay, cache file will be there in the directory, and when we execute second time, or when we execute when we do next execution, what is going to happen, it will look for the cache file. If cache file is there, it will automatically make use of that cache file. It's not going to refresh the same cache, or it's not going to recreate the same cache. Okay, so whenever we execute any lookup transformation, it will look, so is there any cache file for this lookup table is present or not. If it is present, it will directly use that cache only. It's not going to build new cache. Okay, for let's say in the first execution, there are only 100 records in the lookup table. After that, there are 100 more records loaded. So when we execute in the second day, it is going to reuse the same cache which is having 100 records. Because even though table is updated, the cache won't be recreated, or cache won't be refreshed, because lookup cache persistent. Okay, if at all we wanted to refresh the persistent cache, then we have to enable this property, recache from lookup source. We have to enable this property. So when we enable this property, so this persistent cache will be refreshed for every execution. So if you don't enable this property, then the cache won't be enabled. So if you don't enable this option, so cache file won't be get refreshed, the persistent cache won't be get refreshed, and it will be having the records when the first execution has happened. So that time, how many number of records was there? With only that number of records, every time the lookup will be checking the data, even though new records are being inserted or updated in the lookup table. Okay, so always we need to make sure when we enable this lookup cache persistent, should also enable this recache from lookup source. So usually this is for interview purpose. Okay, all the caches like dynamic cache or persistent cache or shared cache, all of them are for interviews only. So we in real time we are going to use static cache only. So 99.99%. So in my 12 years of 13 years of experience, I've used only static cache. I never used dynamic cache or persistent cache or any other cache. Okay, but for interview, this is the common question people are going to ask: how these are going to behave and how these are going to work, and what are the different types of caches. Okay, and then the return fields. So the return fields are department ID and department name. So because from the lookup object, what I selected here, department table, which is having these two columns. Now we can go to target, incoming fields. So now the field mapping, sorry, you have to select the target table. Truncate, I'm enabling truncate table option. Now field mapping, department name to department name, source department ID to department ID, and rest all I can connect from source table. All the columns are coming from source, and only department name is coming from lookup table. Okay, now save it. Okay, now let me. So since I enable truncate table option, it will be every time truncate and reload. Okay, so lookup field department ID. Lookup field department is ID is with the data type of double, but incoming field department has having decimal. Okay, so there is a data type conversion. Okay, now what we should do? There are two ways to do that. Either in the edit metadata, just save it as decimal, or we have to convert it to double using expression which is coming from source.
And Bhaskar, which is the right approach? By going with expression to change the double from this, or now you have changed the process, no? So which is the
Yeah,
right
I
process?
will edit the metadata. So this edit the metadata is easiest option. That is the right approach also. But because it's a double data type, right? We don't have any function to convert it to double. Again, we will have to change it to decimal only. So that time, what we should do, we have to write a lookup override query. Okay, in the lookup override, we have to use two decimal function and convert it to decimal, and we can make use of it. Or we have to use toChar function to convert it to a string value, and we have to convert that using a
Under decimal.
decimal.
Okay.
See, lookup. If condition matches, the lookup transformation is going to give the value. If condition does not matches, it's going to give null value. It's kind of a left rotor giant. All the data from the left hand side, that is source, and only matching data from the right side, that is lookup table. So lookup table, how it is going to work is, if condition matches, it's going to give the value. If condition does not matches, it's going to give null value. Okay, even this lookup transformation also will build caching. And this is also is going to prepare SQL query. I'll show the lookup query from the session log. Lookup caches. Yeah, here we have. So default SQL to create the lookup cache is this one. Select department name, department ID from department table, order by department ID. So this is the SQL. By default, it is going to prepare. So this lookup transformation also is going to build SQL. This SQL query will be issued to the database, and whatever the data is coming from the SQL query, with that cache will be created. And end of the execution, the cache will be get deleted. If condition matches, lookup is going to give the value. If condition does not matches, lookup is going to give null value. Okay, any questions here? Anyone having any questions here?
No, Bhaskar.
Bhaskar, can you go to the mapping section where we have done the mapping in the target, I think, source to target. Field mapping is there. So, Bhaskar, here employee name, all the mapped are fields. The employee name is here blank.
Yeah, because I did not connected any fields because we are working on this particular field, like to populate this field. So that's why I did not connected this employee name field.
So it means employee name is not populate.
Since I did not connected here, employee name is null for all the records.
Okay, okay. Okay, got it, got it.